Hello, this is Daniel Vale, professionally known as Johnny Mac, and welcome to the Daniel Vale Show on YouTube. And I've said before, and for newer people who may see this on YouTube, the reason I paint up my face like this, and by the way, here's the new paint I'm using. You can be Cruz. You can buy this online on Walmart Plus app. And when I get something like this on Walmart, it's usually $3 or $4. So if you like face painting and you want to try it yourself, I suggest either going on there to get the paintbrushes and either Cruz face and body painting palette or the crayon paint that I also use. And you can also get a sketch pad to practice painting on if you like painting. And on Walmart Plus, or go to the Walmart in store. I'm sure they'll have it on all the Walmarts across the country of the United States. And I just thought I would share that. Just encourage others who might be thinking of doing this. Now, what I found interesting about Raw for this past Monday, not only was we knew anybody who gets updates on their cell phone, notifications on their cell phone from the WWE app or reads the e-wrestling news sites, knew that Seth Rollins was going to open up Raw to talk about his knee situation. What I found interesting was how right before he could get to the point that we all wanted to know, is he going to give up the title or not, you had all three members of I'm trying to remember the name, Imperium. They had all three members of Imperium come out with Gunther standing in the ring by himself, and he let Seth know they were not there to attack him. They were there because they all go together, and he just wanted to talk to Seth. So I'm gonna press play. Well, first I'm going to let y'all know what I thought about what was set up to this point. How Gunther said that it saddened him to hear that Seth might not be able to go to WrestleMania as champion. And before when he was finished with his statement, Seth said he wasn't finished. What he was going to say was he was going to try as hard as he could, not only to rehab the injury, but go on to WrestleMania. Well, go to Royal Rumble first, then head on to WrestleMania. And now I can press play and hear what he has to say, that being Gunther.
Yeah, and walk out a champion of WrestleMania. You know what, Seth? I admire that. I respect that a lot because I would do the same thing if I'll be in your position. And in fact, you remind me a lot of myself. So, from one great champion to another great champion, on Sunday, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. And I'm going to choose you as my opponent for WrestleMania. But with all due respect, I'm going to target your knee, I'm going to target your back, I'm going to target everything it's not 100%, and I will beat you and become the world heavyweight champion.
I saw a little part that I could add paint to, so that's why I did that. What I liked just now was Gunther not only saying that he planned on winning the Royal Rumble Battle Royal and choose Seth Rollins to be his opponent for WrestleMania, but I like the honesty he shared about how he planned on winning the title.
I appreciate your honesty, Gunther. Now here's a little honesty from me. You can challenge me at WrestleMania if you win the Royal Rumble, but I want you to remember one thing. Remember who you're coming after.
Seth Rollins said he appreciated the honesty, and he told him, remember who you're coming after. He put his arm out to shake his hand. Let's see what Gunther had to say.
You better remember who's coming after you.
Gunther said, you better remember who's coming after you. So they shook hands and he walked off, and I like that because it's unusual. The problem, though, it was the same problem with the Shield, and it was the same problem with the Bloodline, or any other group that Seth Rollins was a part of. Like when he had AOP with him for a short time. Is, up until this point, all these three-man groups, and even in Gunther's intercontinental title reign, just like the Bloodline, just like Roman Reigns, the reason he's held this title for so long, but for the most part, has been because of his associates. That's one problem with him, with Gunther's reign. And it's also one problem with him planning on winning the world title. As good as Gunther is, if any of his opponents have a never say die attitude, he always needs help. And even though I can understand Roman Reigns needing help because he never really he knows a lot of moves, and he can execute the moves very well, but they never let him show that side, and it took him coming close to being like Ric Flair and all these greats before him that needed help, just for him to get over with the audience. So that's why I would expect more from somebody like a Gunther, because he you could see by the way he works, even before he came to Raw, and even before he was Intercontinental Champion, he always had a lot of great ability by himself. And he showed an unlimited amount of ability. And I remember, was wondering, why didn't they ever give him either a title or a outside of the UK title, and or why didn't they give him a shot at the world title, or put the world title in NXT on him, NXT world title on him? But I understand that they probably didn't see him as a main eventer, They probably just seen him as a good hand, as they call it. But when they brought him down to Raw, he proved how good he was, and that's how they finally put a mid-card title on him, or a secondary title on him. What I really like here, by the way, New Day was already scheduled to face the rest of Imperium later on. They didn't wait, they came out right away to face them, or at least to fight them. They take their coats off outside the ring and they go to a commercial. They show a commercial for the Royal Rumble, the U.S. title match between Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. They always neglect to point out that it's because of a pair of brass knucks that gave Logan Paul the U.S. title. And I would not fuss about that. What I fuss is them not acknowledging it. Like I said to my mom, when you look at somebody like Ric Flair, he never made it sound like he did it on his own. He always admitted to cheating, always admitting to being willing to cheat. That's why I don't like about that. They don't even have him. He's not even honest about how he dishonestly wins. He's not even honest about it. Giovanni Da Vinci started the match. Okay. Start off, Giovanni Da Vinci looked like he was either going for a shoulder breaker or a running power slam on Kofi Kingston, who got out of it and pushed him into the ropes. He ducks a clothesline, comes back, the running cross body press. He stands up, starts working against Kofi in the corner. Does one chop, kick, and looks like in the face. Another kick. Ooh. 4 kicks, 3 kicks, and then picks him up, gives him a nut. Picks him up in a standing position in the corner and gives him another kick into the forehead. Block there. Does Kofi at 2 right hands, 3, 4, 5, 6 right hands into the corner. Irish whip reversal. Comes back. Does Kofi from the middle rope with a corkscrew drop kick. Or as close to corkscrew as you can get. Tag gets him back into the New Day's corner, tags in Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods continues stomping a mud hole in a Giovanni Vinci before the referee pulls him off of him. Even gives him forearm over the back, then another chop, 2 chops, 3, ducks that one. He's giving what I believe Steve Austin used to use as the stun gun in WCW, where he picks his opponent up and he throws him on top of the rope where their throat hits it. But fortunately for Xavier Woods, I don't think he quite got the full. I think he got the full effect on his throat. I think He might have been, his throw might have been more protected than that. Doing slow motion to see for certain what happens. Like I said, it was 2 chops to the chest. Giovanni, he ducked, and as he ducks, he picks up Xavier Woods as a counter move. Ooh. Well, it was really his chin that was draped over the ropes. So yeah, he was more protected. It's given almost like what I think this is a lariat and this is a clothesline. So he's given a lariat over the back of his neck to knock him down by Giovanni. Giovanni makes the tag, and in comes his tag team partner. I always forget his name. Ludwig Kaiser now. He made a few he connected a few right hands to the forehead of Xavier Woods, then he just kicked him in the chest. Now Xavier Woods is in the corner. Another right hand to Xavier Woods, then 2. Sends him up 1 chop, and then another 2 right hands, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe, stomps. So he's pulled off by the referee. He's given 2 thrusts into the stomach by Xavier Woods. Right here, all you could do is just look at Kofi, and referee's telling Kofi to get back to where the tag rope is, so that he would be following the rules. He turned his attention to Xavier, and he's given 2 front-handed thrusts and a chop across the face, it looks like. That slows down Ludwig a lot. He's back on the attack, though. I think Xavier Woods should have rolled out the ring and decided to draw him into going outside after him. So he's still on the attack, even in the corner right here. The referee's almost at a 5 count. Okay, he's finally getting to his feet in the middle of the ring, or close to the middle of the ring. These guys were helping him up so that he can hit him. Kicks him in the gut, but that gets caught by by Xavier. chop by Xavier, 2 different ones, then an enziguri. When you pay attention to how what he just did, how fast he did that, that's not easy to do. Quickly, that is. Not easy to do combinations like that and end with an enziguri that quickly. The referee, I guess he's not realizing that they're breaking the rules and that it doesn't matter what Kofi's doing. So it doesn't matter what Kofi's doing. Despite they're breaking the rules, he should be listening to Kofi. Kofi shouldn't be in the ring either. So when that's happening, Xavier gets pulled out of the ring and by Ludwig, and then Giovanni gives him a belly-to-back suplex on the ring apron. And I know that they don't use replays unless they want to show the impact of what happened. But I think they should use a replay to show the referee why in a tag team, especially in a tag team match like this. Actually, I think they should use a replay to let the referee know when somebody breaking the rules outside of the ring. I think that would be more interesting myself. You may not be able to reverse the decision from a replay, but you can use it in wrestling to get people thrown out of the ringside area. That's why I think it would be interesting, and I would even tweet this to Tony Khan if I thought it would do any good. Okay. Go to commercial break. As Imperium's in the ring, daring them to come in. Kofi's helping Xavier Woods up. Go back to the ring, and they show in the center of the screen, they show the picture of the match that's happening now. I always think graphics like that are interesting. Chops back and forth, and a kick by Giovanni. Irish whip to Xavier. Kick by Xavier slows down Giovanni, knocks him down, actually. So now they both need to make a tag. Woods more than Giovanni, though, so let's see what they do here. What happens here, excuse me. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods jumps into the tag to Kofi. Ludwig gets tagged in at the same time. Kofi does the springboard chop, knocks down Ludwig, and then knocks Giovanni off the ring apron with a forearm, right forearm. Gets Ludwig into the corner, about 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, almost 10 chops, 10 right hands, and right forearm to Giovanni. Then he clotheslines Ludwig over the top rope, does a cruiserweight dive through the middle rope, knock down Giovanni. Then he jumps through the other side rope to get to Ludwig, and gives him 3 right hands. two right elbows, I believe. So Xavier Woods go after seeing them double team Kofi outside. Xavier Woods runs to the ropes, turns around, goes straight through the ropes with a drop kick like maneuver to knock down Giovanni. Referee either has to start a 10 count or he's got to throw this out. Let's see what happens here. Headbutt by Kofi. These are the two legal men, Ludwig and Kofi. Ooh. Okay. It's obvious the way this match is going. This should be handled. Yeah, they just lost by double count out. This should be handled in a false count anywhere match. That's the only way to settle this. Rather, even going into the crowd was just something I hardly ever see anymore. He went into the to the crowd. The other member of Imperium, Ludwig Kaiser, threw Woods over the barricade where Samantha Irwin, I'm trying to remember her last name, who does the ring introductions, sits along with the timekeeper. So this got so bad that they almost hit Kofi Kingston steel chair until Xavier Woods made the save. Hit the slow motion and replay so I could see what happened. I think it's all four of them. Wow. Kofi and Xavier, almost like they almost like speared their both men. Imperium through the table that was below where they were standing. I've seen Kofi do that before, like at Madison Square Garden when he went against Randy Orton during their feud. That was so big. Their feud that was so big that people spoke about it back when Kofi won the world title. They were still talking about it. I had seen him do the boom boom double leg drop through the table in the stands on Randy Orton in Madison Square Garden. It's not completely different, but this is a different scenario. So they transition now into promoting this year's video game where there's 3 different editions, 40 years of WrestleMania, and I was reading about this earlier today that 40 years of WrestleMania is going to be separate from the deluxe edition and the regular edition. By the way, The deluxe edition has both Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley on it. So that's big in itself. Now for people that can't spend over $100, I would get the deluxe edition because it seems to have all of the good stuff that people like to get. And really, I don't know really the difference between the regular and the deluxe. But the one with 40 years of WrestleMania, that seems, because it's 40 years of WrestleMania, that seems to be the one that's just about 40 years of WrestleMania. So that's why I find that to be so interesting. Now, I read that at 40 years of WrestleMania is over $100. So what I would do myself is I'd wait to see when that comes out before I buy the game. By the way, I got the AEW Fight Forever game, and that I find that to be a very interesting game. It's kind of difficult, but it's kind of difficult to know to know the right time to hit the finishers, but when you find it, it's really fun to hit the finishers and to win the titles that you go after. The only thing I haven't done yet is do a tag team match because I really don't know who to put together. And what's really great about 40 years of WrestleMania is if you're a big fan of DDP, I liked DDP after he flipped the switch and became a babyface. I liked DDP when he won the world title and the US title. So when he cut his hair and he became probably the best version of himself on TV that he ever had done, because they always say being an extension of your real self is the best character you can have. So the last thing he ever did before he retired the first time was call himself Positively Paige, which is just how he really is. And that, I think, was how it always should have been for him. So I'm glad. It's one of the reasons I'm glad that they did 40 years of WrestleMania this year. Well, you get to play through some of the best matches in WrestleMania history, but I would get to play as DDP when he was the European champion. Maybe the only time I know of him being in a WrestleMania. So that's why I like it. And you get to play as Charlotte Flair, winning the women's title at WrestleMania, 2 different ones, I believe. You get to play through the first time they went to Hollywood, California, and things like that. So yeah, I like that. I'm not quite excited about. I would not be quite so excited to play through Goldust versus Roddy Piper, but I don't want to mention that because I could get in trouble with YouTube. So I was going to leave it at that. Come back this past Monday night, they were in my home state of Louisiana, New Orleans to be exact. So they took the camera and they showed that they were actually at the Smoothie King Center. I think that's where the NBA games are played for the Pelicans. They came back and they promoted the match between McIntyre and Damian Priest. Ever since they had the team together in War Games, they've been having trouble. So this makes it interesting. And let's not forget what happened, I think it was last week. McIntyre prevented, or the week before, McIntyre prevented Damian Priest from cashing in the Money in the Bank contract. So up until now, the only match I'd seen from this past Monday was Ivy Nile with Maxine Dupree in her corner against Valhalla, or Sarah. I'm trying to remember what her name is. Sarah Logan, I believe, with her real life husband in her corner. Ivy Nile, she's been in WWE, and before she was on Raw, she was on NXT with the same two men she came to Raw with, the Creed brothers. And before that, they were in the Diamond Mine. She was in the Diamond Mine. And I remember because Schism on NXT, which is a group of just deluded PC people. Well, the leader of that wanted to try to recruit her, and that's how I remember just looking at her in her pants and shirt and wondered, what's she all about? Because I could see a uniqueness to her. So when they put her with the Creed brother after the Diamond Mine ended, because I believe Roderick Strong was a part of it. I do remember this, how Ivy Nile won with Top Rope Bulldog onto Valhalla. That in itself is impressive. Because it's my understanding that moves like that may take up a lot of upper body strength. And even though she does look like she works out, let me put it this way. You have to be she was very smooth about it from the top rope. That's not easy to do either. Let me put it that way. Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, and Bayley literally fought in the ring in this segment after cutting a promo about all three of them thinking they're going to win. And I saw on either Twitter or Instagram how I think one of Bayley's shoes was had broke in that melee. So that I think I think that's interesting to see because we forget how easy it can be to break or to damage shoes or boots. And especially the shoes, because those are not made for you. You have to literally buy those. So then they start talking about 2 or 3 people won the Royal Rumble match at such an early number. Like Ric Flair was 3 when he won. Was number 3 was the number 3 participant when he won the Royal Rumble and the title, because they stopped showing him as the Royal World Champion. So I don't know what happened, but they decided to put the WWE title on the line. So he was number 3 when he won. Rey Mysterio was number 2 when he won the Royal Rumble. See what they say.
Legendary event, but only 34, a staggering 2.6% of participants have won it all. 20 have gone on to win a world championship at WrestleMania.
So the 20 men that won the Royal Rumble had won the title at WrestleMania. That's why I like when they do this, because we actually can, just like we can forget things that have happened in recent years, we can forget all the records that have been set. So I'm glad they do that, because it refreshes our memory. And they even counted that number for the women. Since the inception of the Women's Royal Rumble, there may have been 2 or 3 winners that went on to win the title at WrestleMania. And I should say the Raw or Women's World titles. Raw or SmackDown Women's World titles, that is. So it means about 18 were men and 2 were women. They went on to win the world title at WrestleMania the same year they won the Royal Rumble.
History becomes the first woman to enter at number 1 and outlast the entire field.
So Rhea Ripley was the first woman to win going in at number 1. And she even broke the Women's Royal Rumble elimination record. So the endurance record she set was an hour, 1 minute, and 8 seconds. And that was from last year's Royal Rumble. Gunther set the record as the longest person who spent in a single Royal Rumble, and that was an hour, 11 minutes, and 40 seconds. So I remember one year, even though it's would probably be considered taboo to mention his name today, Chris Benoit, back in 2004, I remember he said he lasted 62 minutes. So that means that Gunther beat his record by 9 minutes.
minutes and 40 seconds. Later entry into the match significantly increases your odds of being the last one standing. The winner has emerged from the final 10 entry positions in 60% of Rumble matches. But no entry number has produced more wins.
See what they said about 60% of winners.
Odds of being the last one standing. A winner has emerged from the final 10 entry positions in 60.
Wow. 60% of the winners have been from the last 10 numbers picked from 20 to 30. So let's see how much percentage the number 30 spot had gone for people who won the match.
Percent of Rumble matches. But no entry number has produced more winners than the coveted number 30, where 5 superstars obtained victory, including Cody Rhodes.
Wow. 5 men who won the match with number 30. I mean, there were 5 men who won the match number 30. That was more than what I was thinking.
Triumphant return from injury last year and blazed his trail.
There was one year that said that 1 and 30 had the same amount of people that won it. That's why I said, wow. They reminded us of how Cody Rhodes won it by coming in last, I believe.
While the American Nightmare has vowed to finish his story, winning back-to-back Rumble matches is exceedingly rare. No superstar has won consecutive
I
Rumble matches.
usually do these videos about the current product, but because I am a podcaster in my heart, and because I'm looking to continue to do it, I'm going to do a regular podcast episode on YouTube live. Not live, but pre-recorded. I'm going to talk about the first ever Royal Rumble match on YouTube. That's what I'll start to do. And if I can find somebody to help me with my podcast, because I'm running out of ideas, I'll let y'all know on here what that podcast is. Now, they even showed on the screen in big bright red color the people that won the Royal Rumble matches twice, 2 years in a row. Hulk Hogan won in 90 and 91, and Steve Austin won in 1997 and 1998. I don't know when else he won the Royal Rumble, but I do remember they said he won it 3 times. So that's why that's interesting to me.
46 years, a feat last achieved by Stone Cold Steve Austin. The Texas Rattlesnake is the most accomplished Royal Rumble competitor of all time, with 3 victories.
It was in 2001, the 2 years before he officially retired. So that's why they said it was only 2 years he consecutively won. But he's the only one that won 3 times, period.
Tampa Bay has been host to the Rumble. The first was in 1990.
And they even brought up how many times Royal Rumble has been to the city and state they're in this year. First time was back in 1995, which is actually the year I was going to talk about for my podcast, because that was one of my favorite years as a fan. So now that we're in the that's 95. I'm 34. This is 2024. So that would be about 29 years ago. Almost 29 years ago. No, it is 29 years ago. I remember now. since that happened.
When the heart rate hit Shawn Michaels' skillfully
Mm-hmm.
avoided elimination, proving both feet must hit the floor. In 2021, the Royal Rumble came to Tropicana Field, where Bianca Belair bested
2021, was when they were in the Tropicana Field with Bianca Belair winning the Women's Royal Rumble.
other superstars.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Belair looks to become the first big-time Women's
Mm-hmm.
Rumble winner. The EST is tied with the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, for most eliminations in a women's Rumble
Oh,
match.
both Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler, the Queen of Spades, the Submission Magician, both are tied with the number of eliminations at number 8, and that's the most eliminations. And we're not even finished yet from this night. Dominic Mysterio's out here, and I was hearing either in the kitchen or in the bathroom something was happening with Dominic and The Miz. By the way, people that don't know, Dominic Mysterio actually had, behind this in real life, actually had gotten some advice from Chavo Guerrero Jr. about how to act better in his character. So that's really helped him. He's a very good wrestler, but his heel work was, let me put it this way, the fact that he actually could get the fans upset more than just because they don't like him as a heel, for him to actually get them to dislike him because of the story, says how well he's learned since taking advice from Chavo Jr. And another person who, by the way, I think, even though he doesn't need a title, I think it's a shame that he hasn't been in anywhere close to the world title picture, is The Miz, and I think that's a shame. Especially when you think about how people have always, not just in the back, but fans never seem to give him any credit for how far he came from being in reality TV to being in the WWE. So that's why I think it's a shame that he's not close to being anywhere near the world title picture. And he's not just a reality TV star. No, he was on cross country as a kid, and he excelled in sports outside of that. So he's actually an actual athlete. Outside of this, that's why I say it's a shame that he's not in the WWE title picture, because of how he always goes above and beyond what people expect of him. And the sad part is he never had anybody with him outside of his wife, or outside of his tag team partner, John Morrison, help him. Let me put it this way, if he broke the rules, he did it from his own accord, and he found a way to do it without help. So if you look at it in that way, you're kind of like, well, it shows that, well, even though he cheated a lot, he didn't need anybody to help him do it. So that shows that he knows how to work. But much as Judgment Day is winning over, the fact that it took I'm trying to think of all the guys' names in the group. JD McDonough, Finn Balor to help him. That in itself is a shame, because even though I do like the business work, Dominic Mysterio should not need help beating him. They gave Alpha Academy a new trying to remember, what do you call that? A new towel that said "Thank You, Crew." And instead of putting the full word, they just put the letter U. Okay, earlier I'd seen that we had, we had 2 parts of Raw. I'm glad I looked at the DVR. Chad Gable went against the member of I actually forgot the name of it. Oh yeah, Viking Raiders. Viking Raiders member with hair. I always forget his name. Oh, interesting match. Start the beginning of the video. Something happened where I think because the member of the Viking Raiders could not flip himself to finish the sequence in the ring. He had to let go, or Chad Gable had to let go of him so Chad Gable could fall on the apron and go to the floor. They even did like I'm not sure, I think it may have been a butterfly suplex, or butterfly suplex transitioned into a powerbomb, sit-down powerbomb. Yeah, that's what it was. Kick out by Chad Gable. Chad Gable went out to the legs, and he's trying for the victory roll. He's going for the ankle lock. Almost thought he was going to do like Bret Hart and go for the victory ride there. Gets pushed off by the Raiders' foot. He followed it up by picking his legs up and all, like he always does, coming down on his opponent's chest. So, see what he does here. Looks like he could be going for the middle turnbuckle splash. Actually, it was a leg drop. That is surprising. That's Ivor, by the way. But still, Chad Gable kicked out. Well, I think somehow Chad Gable, I think, was trying to duck. I think, yeah, he actually countered an enziguri, turned this into an ankle lock again. If I was Chad Gable, I would sit on his leg like Kurt Angle used to do. Gets to the rope. Okay. Sit down, spine buster. Pinfall attempt to kick out at 2 by Chad Gable. Looks like he's going for that top rope moonsault. But I hope they do before every time they have a 300-pound guy like Vader or Ivar or anybody that jumps from the top rope like them that does a moonsault with a moonsault. Hope they reinforce the ring before they try this. Especially when they miss it. Let's see. Oh, German suplex by Chad Gable. Kick out. Right shoulder up by Ivar. Ooh, chop. It slows down Gable as he climbs the rope. Looks like he's going for Ivar, that is. Looks like he's going for a top rope vertical superplex. He gets out of it in midair. Whoa, release German suplex counter by Chad Gable. And he's going to the top rope, it looks like. Valhalla comes out to distract him. He gets hit with a forearm to the back by Ivar. Then whoa, I'm not even sure what to call that. Looks like it could be like a power bomb of sorts, but he flips himself onto the mat. And Ivar's going for that moonsault again. Ooh, he gets it this time. He wins the match. Be honest, I don't know. Okay. I don't know what to think about this match outside of possibly turning this into either adding a woman to the Viking Raiders and doing an 8-person tag, or possibly doing a 6-person tag, and they would have to choose between Maxine and Ivy. That would be what I think would be the perfect scenario here. Oh, okay. I knew that Bianca Belair and Montez Ford were having their own reality show on Hulu. I didn't know what was going to happen. Well, fortunately for people who watch Hulu and like WWE, get to see the reality show starting February 2nd, called Love and WWE. And as they're showing the picture for this, promoting it, they show downtown New Orleans. Looks like they're doing Mardi Gras already. But I don't think Mardi Gras happens in cities that are close to my hometown of Eunice. I don't think those cities do it until closer to the beginning of March. So that's why I wanted to mention that. So I noticed the parade on the TV. So out comes Cody Rhodes, and read earlier that they had done. Okay, he's walking out traditionally instead of with that special effect that they gave him. I read that they had shown a video that said earlier today, Cody Rhodes being interviewed. Let's see what was shown, and if what I read was not a mistake, because sometimes make mistakes. CM Punk interrupts him before he could even talk. Or at least that's what it looks like. Not really. I mean, I like promos, but I'm more interested in the promo battles in AEW and NXT than I am with Raw, because, especially with CM Punk, because you never know what he's gonna say. You don't know when it's gonna feel like the same old thing with them, and so that's why I didn't press play. But what I am interested in doing is finding out what was said and talking about it. That I will do later on. They show an interview with Hulk Hogan talking not only about his ascension in the WWE, which was actually a year before. I think it was a year before the first ever WrestleMania. He was champion. So what I like is how they not only showed clips from the past with him, but they even showed the clip of him being inducted by Sylvester Stallone, which is a big reason why he was so popular. It was because many people knew who he was from that film. They show Hulk Hogan talking about how he feels about today's stars. And what I would ask is, how do you feel still being around and seeing your favorite star when you were thinking of being a wrestler, your favorite star's youngest son being in the position he's at? That's what I would ask as a fan. We're so used to, hear about Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Harley Race, those people, and they all earned that distinction in one way or another. However, there's so many women that you can look to as, like, say, okay, you have all these women like Sensational Sherry, who was a good wrestler before she was a manager. Then you have the lady she probably taught the most, who learned the most from her, That's Medusa Michelli. And then you had Fabulous Moolah, and Mae Young. And a lot of these women outside of Medusa are not here. So it makes you wonder. I wonder how many women from the past, like Wendy Richter's around. I wonder what she thinks about the current stars. Just, because she may still have friends that are around it and in it. So those are things I always wonder as a fan. And by the way, they have Iron Sheik, Iron Sheik, Jimmy Hart, Hulkamania, action figure from his WCW days as manager of Hulk Hogan, and they have when Hulk Hogan still had hair at the top of his head. An action figure from when he first started in his white singlet on, which I didn't know he had a white singlet, so that's amazing to me that they have an action figure for that. I had no idea he had that. Oh yeah. After that happened, they had Candice LeRae and her daughter figure, Indy Hartwell, going against Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. Of all the women that could be put in a tag team to be pushed seriously against Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, those two would be the perfect people because they have a long reputation for being able to rely on each other. Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler are individual stars. They're not known really for being able to focus enough on the tag team part to be a part of a tag team. So that's why, even though it would be a good idea to have two teams that are complete opposites, or two team partners that are complete opposites win and completely legitimize women's tag team division on Raw and SmackDown. Even though that's a good idea, it wouldn't work along with these two because they're too much of an individual player. And I remember that's actually how Arn Anderson explained why Sting didn't last long as a Horseman, or even if he was meant to last long, it would not have mattered because he was too much of an individual player. So it would not have lasted long anyway. So I think the perfect way to explain it with these two, even though they won the match, even though they could wind up getting tag title shot down the road. By the way, they showed the Kabuki Warriors assault them to remind the champions that they want a shot in the future. And those two are former champions themselves, so that's why I think it's even more important to have women that already have a history of depending on each other. So they do it, like they said, that they're going to do a continuation of the numbers. Part 2, here they go.
All about the numbers, part 2.
Nine superstars have made it to the mountaintop twice, including Brock Lesnar. In 2020, the Beast Incarnate conquered the record for most
When they started it, they said that they pointed out all the people that won it twice. Batista was the first person they mentioned, then Brock Lesnar.
traditional Rumble match with an astounding 13 eliminations.
Brock Lesnar actually had 13 eliminations when he was in the Royal Rumble, when he won it the second time.
History, Natalya
And Natalia, for the women's side, she had 6 eliminations.
And no one brings the heat like the Big Red Machine.
And she's only one of 4 women to do that. Kane had 45 eliminations in one match. And to this day, I think that still holds the record.
Ways of Destruction include a record 45 eliminations in 18 Royal Rumble matches.
I'm sorry, that's 18 complete Royal Rumble matches. But he sets the most record in his first time in the Royal Rumble.
Hot on his tail is the dynamic Kofi Kingston, who will move into second place.
And Kofi Kingston had like 16 eliminations throughout his career in the Royal Rumble.
With his 16th appearance, Kofi makes the impossible look effortless. But not everyone shines under the spotlight.
Chelsea Green eliminated faster than anyone in history.
Some superstars are ready to get in the action at a moment's notice.
That's who did he play in the Royal Rumble match?
And you never know who will show up when their number's called.
I like how they even showed the people who are considered retired or legendary status or just happen to have wrestled once, so they have, like Michael Cole, they wrestled once, so they actually have an attire to put on, so that's why they put him in there as cameos. So I like that. It showed how Bad Bunny appeared in one, and they reminded us of how AJ Styles made his debut at the Royal Rumble, which was a complete shock to me. I was not expecting him to come, simply because I didn't think they would let him use his finisher, and I was right. But what I was amazed at was his usual setup move for the Styles Clash became his finisher in the WWE. I was really amazed by that. But it just shows how good that maneuver is when you can turn it into a finisher. They even show about returns being big factors sometimes in the Royal Rumble. Like Triple H made his return after he the first time he tore a quad. He not only announced he was going in the Royal Rumble, but he ended up winning it. And then John Cena, I remember he wanted after appearing, and he was a surprise. And one year, Michelle McCool was in the audience, and I think it was a last-minute thing, so she climbed over the barricade and got in the ring. Mm-hmm.
We've seen countless mind-blowing returns.
John Cena showed up, as I just said. That's the first person they showed. Rey Mysterio showed up, and Triple H showed up. All returns. And it goes without saying that CM Punk's had the biggest layoff out of all of them because how long it took him to come back to pro wrestling to begin with. 3,653 days. Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania.
34 million, the number of social engagements for the viral collision between Logan Paul and Ricochet.
34 million people were the 34 million fans who were watching the epic scene between Logan Paul and Ricochet in the Royal Rumble. They both went across the ring against each other. I admit it's it's one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen, but that's still a lot of people considering. So they pointed out, they showed a clip of, okay, this is what happened. For people who may not have seen Royal Rumble 2005. When Batista and John Cena were the last two men in the ring, John Cena jumped. I forgot exactly what happened. I think he went for almost like a Fez press, and he caused himself and Batista to go over the top rope, and that was not planned. So they restarted it after Vince McMahon was walking to the ring in his usual strut, but this time he was mad because it didn't go according to his plan. So he tore both quads, so he couldn't stand up when he got in the ring. So he sat down and he said, "Hold on a minute." Then he said, "Come here." He told them what to tell the ring announcer, and they restarted the match, and he threw John Cena over the top rope. And that's how they showed that clip, when he threw him over the top rope and won the match. And about 11 years before that happened was when Bret Hart and Lex Luger had a double elimination. And the fact that Vince came out shows that was not planned. So they showed Batista holding up the world title when he first won it. Let's see what they say about that. Nine winners won the world title, and 60% of the winners won the title at WrestleMania.
This year, the showcase of the Immortals takes over the city of brotherly love. There will be no love lost on the road to WrestleMania. 60 superstars will compete in 2 Royal Rumble matches, a great once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to headline WrestleMania 40.
They would show the 3-second countdown before the next person comes out, and the buzzer. They aired the buzzer. I like that. Okay, I'm gonna share this on X, formerly known as Twitter, and whoever watches that, go onto my Twitter account at Micole Johnny, at capitalized capital M lowercase c capital M lowercase AULEY and capital JOHNNIE, and go. That is, if you made it through this whole video without stopping it, go there. I'm gonna put I'm gonna add a poll of which Royal Rumbles I should talk about here on Twitter, and I would like for y'all to vote on it if y'all don't mind. They start promoting the U.S. title match, the Fatal 4-Way match for the Undisputed World Heavyweight title. Reigns against LA Knight, AJ Styles, and Randy Orton. Damian Priest against Drew McIntyre is the main event. They announce matches for next week's Raw. That's why I like to look at this. The Undisputed Tag Team titles finally gonna be put on the line, this time against DIY from NXT, who were the top rivals in NXT at one time. Now they're back together on Raw, and it's Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. They're gonna be facing them for the Judgment Day for the titles next week on Raw. And it's going to be in Tampa, Florida, the home of Florida Championship Wrestling. It's also where Hulk Hogan and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff are from. And I know that because of watching the Ultimate Hulk Hogan Anthology DVD. By the way, if you can see that on the network portion of the Peacock app, I would suggest watching that. Because unless they edit it to where you can only see the matches, and I think they will show. Oh, wait a minute. I remember looking for that myself. Forget what I said. Okay, let me restate that. I would look online on Amazon to see if they have that, and I would buy it just so you could see the people talking about the matches they've had with Hogan. And when they talk about Hogan and Orndorff going against each other, that's when he talks about them both being from Florida. And I said earlier about if I could ask Hogan anything, if I was in the position to, I'd ask him how he feels seeing his favorite wrestler's youngest son on WWE TV today. Being that he's in his 70s, how does he feel as a fan watching that? Because, sometimes it makes a big difference to some people. Well, I didn't say this, but I will say it now. His favorite wrestler in Tampa, Florida was Dusty Rhodes. He said in his book how anytime he would watch Florida at home and Dusty was not on there, he'd get upset. Because that was his favorite wrestler. So yeah, curious about how he feels about seeing Cody Rhodes in the WWE, and that's the youngest son of his favorite wrestler from when he was a teenager. I remember my brother Shane was, I should have just said my brother, but sometimes I forget that this is on YouTube and most people don't know me, so let me say it this way. My brother used to be in the living room when wrestling was on, so he knew who Hulk Hogan was and Dusty Rhodes. And at one time when he read his book and he read that, he said that Dusty Rhodes is older than we think because he used to wrestle when Hogan was a teenager. That was amazing to me. To be honest, it's still amazing to me considering that it's a 9-year difference. Another thing I know is because I look up people on the internet and from actors to football players to wrestlers, and when I looked up Hulk Hogan's date of birth, I realized that he is only 9 years younger, I think, or 10 years younger than Dusty Rhodes. So even though that is a big age difference, it just shows how young Dusty Rhodes was at the time. Because let's say that he was likely 16, I guess, but he saw Dusty Rhodes, so that would have made Dusty 26. So things like that always amaze me. what I like that they started to do back when SmackDown went to the USA Network, and they moved them to Tuesday nights at the time because they wanted them to be live. What I liked was when they started to list people's accomplishments on the side of their name. In this case, they showed that Drew McIntyre not last year, but about 3 years ago, he won the Royal Rumble then to go against Brock Lesnar, and that's when he won the world title. But there was no fans like there are again now, so that's why it's such a big deal for him to win it again. There's only one time when the Money in the Bank was cashed in at WrestleMania, and that was when Seth Rollins did it, when Michael Cole said that he pulled off the heist of the century. Wait, it was a heist, but century, that makes it sound like he's exaggerating, which he probably was. Yeah, he still has the Money in the Bank briefcase, so if he holds it until WrestleMania, he would be the second person, and then cash it in at WrestleMania, he would be the second person to cash it in. I just hope if they would do that they would have him announce it beforehand. That way, it wouldn't be considered a heist. It would be considered him finally doing it the right way. What's become my favorite element of Judgment Day is R-Truth being added to it since he returned. Now this time he caused Damian Priest the match because he was still in the ring. But the reason I like it is because it's more entertaining it's more entertaining now. So that's why I like it. And that did lead to him losing to Drew McIntyre, but what I really like is it's the suspense it adds. For so many years, there was literally no suspense anymore. They killed suspense because we knew mostly what was going to happen. So that's why I like this. There's a lot of things they're adding, or have been adding since Triple H is in charge of the booking, or whatever you want to call it. They're creative. There's a lot of things they've added that have made it fun again to watch. And so, that's all I really have to say, and that's all I need to say. So I just say, thank you to everybody who may listen to this full length, or even half of it, and I want to ask y'all to please look at my account. If y'all stayed past an hour looking at this video, please listen long enough to hear my Twitter handle, so that y'all can vote on which Royal Rumble to choose from. Thank you and goodbye.